Well, boys and girls, welcome to another episode of Rimshots with Sean right here on the Rock Rage Radio Network. That's right, we're doing that on this because we've got a special guest. We've got Bryan Hoxsey from, say the name of the band again because you say it a lot better than I do.
Violates community standards.
Love it. Love it. So this is going to be a video. This is going to be an audio. We're going to go over the Rock Rage Radio Network, which you may or may not know is about 5,000 different stations all over the world. So that's cool. So Bryan, first off, you're where are you residing today that we're talking with you?
I am in Anza, California. It's in Southern California. It's at the base of Thomas Mountain. It's kind of high desert area. I'm here on my 11-acre property. I live off grid, and it's 100 degrees right now, and I don't have air conditioning, so it's fun.
So there's you have the highs and you have the lows. You have the mountainous terrain with no air conditioning and 100 degrees. So
Yep.
tell us about this band because Raquel sent me some stuff through, and it's got punk roots written all over it. Tell me a little bit about the band.
Yeah, so the band is, I mean, we're sort of a punk metal hybrid, kind of in the vein of like a DRI, or maybe more accurately, Suicidal Tendencies. We Most of us have our roots in metal. A few of us have our roots in punk. We all grew up listening to both, and we're all products of that sort of the Southern California culture. Where punk and metal is tied in with extreme sports. Skating, snowboarding, surfing, all that kind of stuff. So and out here in the IE where we live, motocross. That's a big thing. But yeah, we all grew up just worshiping metal and punk bands, and everyone in this band has been in other bands. We've all been playing since we were teenagers, and this band started in late 2020 during the whole pandemic shit, and we really didn't like what was going on. And me and my guitar player, we decided, hey, let's start a punk band in the vein of like real fucking old school punk, anti-establishment. So that's what we did.
So safe to say you guys were a COVID project that kind of grew wings and came out of it the other side, and now you're 4 years later still doing it.
That's it. Yep, that's exactly it. And it's funny because we used to have discussions in the jam room about, maybe we'll record some stuff and we'll get it out there, online, and we might even play a couple shows. Man, what if we played with DI? And we played with DI, I don't know, 3-4 times. We've played with DRI. We've played with Agent Orange. We played with all these bands that we grew up, looking up to. And it's been a wild ride, man. This thing has evolved in a way that I don't think any of us expected. So
some of the bands. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say we're having fun with it, man. So
Fantastic. And some of the bands that I've talked to, my podcast is a COVID project, right? I'm a musician that was playing, couldn't play, so I decided to start interviewing some of my friends for fun. Here I am 4 years later, meeting fellows like you that are, the other side of the country where I am. But some of those folks that were COVID projects, as soon as everything kind of opened back up again, I don't want to say they quit, but they maybe got back to reality. They maybe said, hey, you know what? Yeah, this is a fun little thing. And I kept saying during the whole time, anybody that was doing it, take advantage of technology and taking advantage of the people that weren't doing it, in a sense, would be better for it on the other side. Is that what you guys are finding in terms of your shows and your music and your material?
Yeah, most definitely. It seems like, probably at least partially due to COVID, the punk rock scene, at least here in Southern California, has kind of just blown up, and the shows are really well attended, a lot of them. And
why do you think that is?
What's that?
Why do you think that is?
I think people were just so sick. Number one, I think people were just so sick of being cooped up.
Right.
They realized how much they really missed it. And then number two, I think people are angry with what they see as government overreach, and that anger, societal anger, always translates into more interest for punk and metal. It's just, that's the way it is for rock in general, but especially punk and metal.
it's a great point because up here, like where I live, I'm on the east coast of Canada, and all the decisions were, by and large, left up to one individual who, poor communicator, didn't communicate with any of the venues, or and it just seemed like decisions were being made on a whim, and they probably weren't, but that was the appearance because there was poor communication. And to your point, people got really pissed off, right?
Yeah.
And you know, there wasn't maybe necessarily a lot of unrest like in some parts of the world. However, it did make for bands coming out. It did make for some good material. I'm guessing that's what happened with you guys.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. The COVID was the catalyst, for starting this band. So I already had one foot in the rabbit hole and one foot out of it, still trying to be a normie.
Right.
And the COVID thing just pushed me straight down into it. And I was determined to get a message out, I feel like now I feel a responsibility to try to kind of slap people awake, to what's happening in our society. And I want people to understand that we have a system that can effectively be called an oligarchy. And we don't live in a Republican democracy or whatever the cover story is. That's all smoke and mirrors. What we actually live in is sort of a corporate oligarchy. And you've got the corporate sector merged with the state. And that's often, been defined as fascism. And I want people to realize that. And so that was the impetus behind this band. That was, I had to get the message out, and so I started writing lyrics, and I started writing, me and Josh got together and started writing songs. And I'm actually not a singer. I've been playing guitar, for 30 years or whatever. And I couldn't write the lyrics and come up with all the vocal melodies and all the vocal content and not sing it. So I ended up the singer in this band. But yeah, the point is we have a message to get out, and that's what we're doing with this band.
I always find bands like yours, when things like this go on, they tend to thrive, right? Because people get to a point where they're frustrated with what's happening, but they almost feel like they're not being heard, and they kind of, I don't want to say give up, but maybe back away because they just don't feel like the message is being heard. And then somebody comes out and says, "The hell with this! I'm going to punch somebody in the face." Everybody gets behind a movement, and away you go. So, my personal opinion with your genre of music, it's a timing thing in terms of success.
Yeah.
I think you have to have some bad things going on in order for a band such as yours to get a proper message across. Fair statement.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. Yeah. And it as far as like being successful financially or any of that, that's not really the main goal. It's not the main goal. If something like that were to happen and it was the right situation, okay, but we're doing this purely, number one, for just because we love the creational process and we love making music. And that, as a musician, man, it's in your blood. You can't not do it.
Absolutely.
And then also we had to get this message out. So that's why we're doing it. And yeah, I mean, obviously because of what's happening in the world, we're gaining some traction with this whole thing, which is cool. It's more than we expected, to be honest. I thought there'd be more pushback from people because of what I'm singing about, because of in between songs what I'm ranting about. I thought there'd be more pushback. Punk's gotten kind of soft, honestly. And so
some of it's become, if you like Green Day, and they're to me the closest thing to a modern. I mean, they're pretty corporate now to me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So there's a lot of that corporate punk going on.
Yep.
And so I don't know. I expected to get more pushback from people, but the majority of people have just been super stoked on the message, and they want to jump along for the ride. So
well, that's a good thing. So there's a couple things here. I'm man enough to admit the fine print is fine print, so I'm going to put my glasses on. A couple of absolutely incredible statements about you guys. If you like wide open, full throttle, fast, the band for you is VCS from Seth Enslow.
Yeah.
Uh, VCS rocks every time we play a show together. You got to check them out. They are a great addition to our punk rock family, and they're bringing the next generation of fun. That's a pretty powerful statement right there, right? One last one here. VCS violates community standards. Finally, a band who doesn't approach punk rock from a corporate perspective I didn't read that ahead of time, so that's interesting. And it goes on to say a little bit more, but Chuck Otto, operations manager, Big 49 Radio, Los Angeles. Those are incredible, incredible testimonials.
I know it's crazy. Like, especially like ones from guys like Casey Royer, OGs in the punk scene. And just for a guy like that to say something like that about our band, it blows my mind. I remember the first time we played in front of Casey Royer, and I just remember looking down at his face from the stage, and I could see he kind of had his mouth open, like, and then he told me after our set, he goes, "Hey man," he goes, "I really love what you're doing up there, great energy," and he goes, you guys remind me of Aggression. I don't know if you know who Aggression is.
100%. Yep.
Yeah. And I was kind of speechless. I was like, holy shit, Casey Royer just gave me like such a huge compliment. Like, damn,
We're having some technical difficulties here. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a break here, and we're going to come back after this. So, hey, kids, while we're Sean here with Rimshots with Sean back on the Rock Rage Radio Network, we're waiting to see if Bryan can get back in. We were having a great chat there. We had some technical difficulties, as it sometimes happens when you're using this newfangled technology here. But while we're at it, and you folks in Radio Land can't see it, I had to don my glasses, and that's because the print is very fine in this presser. VCS releases This Is the Line, a show-stopping punk metal fusion album just in time for summer. The new album combines textures from metal bands with the past of modern twist, and goes on to say that some of their influences are bad. Hey, Bryan, how you doing? We were just getting you through there while you were out. Can you hear me all right? We can't hear you. We can see you. Violates community standards releases This Is a Line, a punk metal fusion album that combines textures from influences such as Bad Religion, Pennywise, DI, Metallica, Megadeth, and Iron Maiden. So that's quite a cornucopia of stuff that you're throwing at us, sir. I can tell you can hear us now, Bryan. Did you hear what I was just saying?
Yeah. So all our influences.
Yeah. So that's quite a bag, because it's funny. Back when I kind of was coming up in the day, the punk guys like the punk guys, right? Like they like the old school, 3-chord, beat the crap out of your instrument. There was none of this, they didn't like Maiden or they didn't like whatever. You guys seem to be taking a swath. Explain that, because I mean, it really, you put that all in the blender, it really creates quite the sound.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, I think if you were around back in the early '80s, but back when both punk and metal were kind of both blowing up.
Yep.
I've heard it was definitely like that, to where punk guys and metal guys didn't get along. If you were a long hair and you went to a punk show, you might get your ass kicked, and same with if you were a punk and you went to a metal show, same thing. But I think that started to change with bands like DRI and Suicidal, that, in like the mid to late '80s. The two, I mean, they're natural. They're very close cousins, I think. You know, so I grew up in a time where if you were a skater and a surfer and a snowboarder or whatever in Southern California, you probably listened to both punk and metal, So yeah, definitely in the '80s, they were two different worlds, but like they definitely kind of merged, I'd say, in the late '80s, early '90s, to the point where, like I said, most people I know listen to both to one degree or another. You might be a metalhead who appreciates some punk, or a punk kid who likes metal too, but most people I know like both.
Well, it's funny. There was always this misnomer with punk music that the bands couldn't play, which was a total lark.
Right.
Because there might not have been an attention to detail that you would have learned in a guitar class or drum class or whatever, but they could play fast, they could play precise, they could play, you know, various speeds and type thing where some of the rock guys couldn't do that. I remember the first time hearing the first Metallica album going like, what the hell is this? And now they make fun of Lars, which is not, in my mind, even remotely close to anything. But I remember thinking at the time going like, how am I going to learn this? I just learned to keep a beat. Now it's like this fast, right? So,
Yeah.
I do remember it was interesting times. And for you guys to have all that together, talk about this record that has come out because, um, you know, people need to hear it. I think they're going to be smacked across the face.
Yeah. Well, so, the idea starting out was to do punk rock, but it's punk rock as created by a couple metalheads. So
Beauty.
we love both, but Josh, the guitar player, me and him were in a metal band, kind of like a metal chorish band back in like 06, 07, 08. And we were kind of like a mix between like, I don't know, like Metallica meets kind of like Shadows Fall or, that kind of thing. But we both played guitar in that band. It's before I ever thought I'd ever be a vocalist. And we were doing all the, harmony guitar parts and all the crazy shit. So we're metalheads, our guitar styles are very, the James Hetfield school of chugging down, picking heavy riffing. But we also love the energy and the aggression and the full throttle fucking vibe of punk. So this is punk rock through the lens of a couple metalheads, and then our drummer Chris, he's the most like pure punk rock dude in the band. So his drum style is very, very punk rock. He doesn't do a lot of double kick or any of that kind of thing. And then me vocally, I can't do. I'm not like a true singer. I'm not like a Ronnie James Dio. I'm not a fucking. I can't do the screams either. I can just do what I can do, and that's kind of it comes out sounding kind of punk rock. So that's all of our influences just kind of came together organically, and we weren't. It's not like we had this master plan, like, okay, we're going to meld, we're going to be this percentage punk and this percentage metal and a little bit of this. And we just started writing songs and this is what came out. So.
Awesome. So Sean here, Rimshots with Sean, Rock Rage Radio Network here with Brian from Violates Community Standard. I love that. Because when I first got the email, I was like, oh, what did I do? Because it was in the subject line. And I don't know if that's something that you guys thought of that would maybe mess with people. I'm like, because you nowadays on social media, you can post something that means nothing and it violates community standards, and you're shut off for a day or something like that. Was that a planned thing on your part to maybe have that, or was it just a name that you guys arrived at?
No, I think we just kind of thought it was a clever name. It is funny though, because we have gotten messages from people on Facebook, and I think Instagram too, where they think that we're like the Facebook police or whatever, and so they'll hit us up and be like, what, how come I got put on hold on Facebook? And they're asking us questions, and we just take that as an opportunity to fuck with people, and we'll give them all kinds of wacky answers.
Well, and everybody should know by now there is no Facebook police because it's just make it up as you go, man. It's the Wild West, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Um, Sorry, go ahead.
I just said it's the algorithm.
Yeah. In terms of shows and whatnot, is there the opportunity for you guys to get out there and play on a regular basis? And how is that working out for you?
Yeah. No, we've been playing a lot of shows, man. We started playing live. We started writing songs in the end of 2020, and then we couldn't find a bass player for the longest time, and then we did, and we started playing live shows in early 2022, and since then we've just been, playing, like playing, and so actually this in June, it is the first time we really like took a little bit of time off. You know, we were playing at least 4 shows a month, sometimes 5, 6 shows a month. And so we took a little bit of a break in June, but we kind of, you know, we started playing real small shows, you know, with local bands. And within a year, you know, we were playing with pretty decent size, like legendary punk bands here in Southern California. And now we've established, you know, so many awesome contacts and relationships to the point where now we get to play with a lot of like big bands. We get to play some really awesome shows. So we definitely feel, you know, we're very grateful. And you know, there's more on the horizon too. You know, it's getting bigger and bigger. I know in a couple weeks, July 11th, I think we've got a show with Guttermouth. We're playing at a place that we play a lot. It's called Solaris Brewing here in Southern California. And we've got another show with DI coming up in August. And we're playing with DRI again in October. I don't know the exact date on that one. But yeah, we're playing live and we're just creating music, and I don't see it stopping anytime soon.
That's fantastic.
As long as people give a shit.
So the beauty of doing a podcast like I do, you know, I'm like I say, I'm out the east coast of Canada. I'm in Halifax. If you find it on the map, it's about as far east as you can go in Canada.
Yeah.
But I have an audience around the world. I have people in Europe. I have a lot of people in the States. I have like part of my biggest audience is actually in Southern California, if you can believe that. So the beautiful thing is you know, I always like to direct them to new bands that I've just met. Where can my viewers, where can the folks on Rock Rage Radio Network find out more about you guys and what you're doing?
So we're on, you know, all the socials, the main ones. You know, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on TikTok, and then our music is anywhere you can buy or stream music. Basically, all the main ones. We're on all those. So yeah, you can go to Spotify, listen to the album. If you want to buy it, support the band, you can go to like Apple Music or wherever you buy music. You know, and we're gonna have a website up soon and get a mailing list going and all that stuff. So yeah, as of right now, Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, we're on YouTube, all that.
So YouTube and Apple Music are great because you actually get paid. Spotify is great for the analytics. We all know this. So regardless, man, you can't lose. Go find these guys. Look, Brian, I want to thank you a lot for doing this. We had a little hiccup there, but that's fine. We were able to get through it. And Raquel, she always brings A-listers, man, onto this podcast. We always have a good time. So peace out, my friend. Let's stay in touch.
All right. Thanks, Sean.
All right. We're back after this.